Hi, this is a tutorial on how to make a skeleton hand using aluminum foil and tape. First I started off by making a tracing of my hand, and I drew little shapes to indicate bones so that I would have an idea of how many aluminum foil pieces to make. As you can see, it'll extend about by one fingertips worth longer than your actual hand. At least that's how I did it on mine. And here's my finished product next to the drawing. So the idea is that all the pieces will interlock with each other. You don't want to glue them down completely because then you won't have that freedom of movement. We'll talk about placement in a minute. As you can see, the knuckles will be overlapped with this kind of cavey shape, and all except the last two are free to move around. To start, grab some aluminum foil and make hot dog shapes for the parts over your hand. For the second row, you want to include that cavey shape we talked about and just make a little indentation with your thumb, and it should interlock with the first piece like this. And you'll want to do this for all the sections of your finger. And as you go towards the tip of your finger, make them a little bit smaller and a little bit more narrow. For the wrist, all I did was make a mold of my wrist, and I played around with it until I built it up to the size that I wanted. Natural wrists have multiple bones, but for my purposes, a smooth wrist was perfectly fine. If you're going to paint yours, you can include, the illusion of those little bones, or however you see fit. If you're going to paper mache this, which you could if you wanted to, then you could add the bone texture later. When you're happy with your shapes, it's time to cover it with masking tape. I use a really strong masking tape that will hold acrylic paints. I've never really tried to spray paint it, or I don't recommend tempera paint or watercolor, obviously, because I think that will rub off with use. But I've had pretty good success with just plain acrylic paint. And as you go along making and putting masking tape on your pieces, the top two parts will be glued together to create the tips of your fingers. And as you see here, it'll glue onto just a small portion of the glove, and a small portion of your finger will manipulate these pieces. Now, my sample here is a little bit bigger than I would recommend, but it really will depend on your hand size and how big you want the hand to extend. For the actual one, it was a little bit more to my actual finger size, but this will give you a pretty good idea. Remember, the thing is to not burn yourself when you are gluing these things down. Don't wear your glove while you're gluing them, or you will burn yourself through the fabric. And the most important part is that as you glue them down, that they will interlock properly. Here I'm showing you putting down the wrist part, but really this is just a sample here. You want to wait to glue down the wrist until you have all the pieces down, so that you can glue the ends properly and they'll fit underneath. Test your finger movement as you go. If you find that one piece is not falling down like you like it, just take it off and glue it again. You want that smooth range of motion, and you want it to really seem natural. Unfortunately, the bottom of the glove will still be black because I don't think it would be very easy to move around if you had aluminum foil under the bottom of your hand, but you could try it. So as this is the before painting, it has a really nice clean bone look, and this is what it looks like after the acrylic paint technique here. It's just black and white paint with a little bit of a dry brush, and you can see a little bit of the masking tape come through. Now this is my fake hand that I did. It was a dummy hand, and I just took all the pieces minus the glove. I just glued them to themselves, and then I used a wire hanger and used that through the second sleeve. And here they are in action. You can get a glimpse of the second hand, the fake right hand, just hanging there. Got a lot of good use out of them, and some folks have grabbed them and pulled on them, and they've been pretty sturdy, so we've been really happy with them. Hope they work out for you. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and happy Halloween.